first time I ever heard Steve Ray Vaughan play guitar. It was like the guitar was alive, you know? And ever since then, just the sound of Texas blues. I've been hooked. Hey, Charlie Wallace here from Guitar Mastery Method, and welcome to this lesson on the Blues Solo Heatmap. Now you're going to have a PDF download for that, but I didn't just want to give you the download. So in this lesson, you're going to get a complete walkthrough of the Blues Solo Heatmap. I'm going to show you 3 simple blues licks step by step so you can see how to get started using the heatmap right away. And I'm also going to give you a full band backing track so you can use that to jam all this stuff along to. Even if you haven't done much or any blues soloing before, I think you're going to be very surprised at how easy it can be. And if you're more of an advanced guitarist, this Blues Solo Heatmap is going to send you off like a rocket. Now, you may be wondering who the hell I am. Well, my name is Charlie Wallace. I'm from New Zealand, in case you can't tell from my accent. I'm the founder of Guitar Mastery Method. And amongst being an internationally touring musician, spending time in studios, playing to thousands of people, filming music videos and all that sort of stuff, I've had 68,482 guitarists from 52 countries go through my online guitar lessons. And in case you can't tell, I'm a big blues fan, so I'm really excited about sharing this stuff with you today. And just before we dig in, I just want to I have a quick note to say to make sure you have your guitar with you and make sure it's all tuned up and ready to go. And to also let you know that even though we're going to be covering a lot of cool stuff in this lesson, this is actually just the first of a series of lessons I'm going to be giving you on the blues 100% free. And I'll let you know more about what's coming up in those next lessons a little bit later on. So right now, let's dive in and get started with this Blues Solo Heatmap. Alright, so first of all, it's very important that you can actually read the diagram for this Blues Solo Heatmap. So if we put one up on the screen right now, and this is the first step you're going to learn, this is actually like looking at the guitar like that if it's on the screen, okay? So you've got, you know, these, like the lowest string at the bottom, the highest string at the top. Now, if you imagine that the diagram is you looking down at the guitar, okay, and just kind of flat along the ground or on your lap, and that's how you're seeing that diagram. So for instance, if I play through the notes that you'll see on there, I'm going to play them through in this order, and you'll see the notes highlight as I go through each note. So playing this one here, and then this note here, you can see that's the low E string as we move in to the A string, to the D string, to the G, the B, and the high E. And back. Now don't worry if you're not sure of the names of the notes, okay? That's neither here nor there right now. Okay, but one note that I do want you to really memorize is called the root note. And in your diagrams, in your reference material, you'll notice that it has an extra circle around it. And that's because it's extra special and you want to really memorize that. Okay, and then because that's going to be the note of the key that you're in. Okay, so if you ever wanted to move this to be in a different key, you'd put this finger here onto whatever note of the key you want. So for instance, you want to play in the key of G, you just put your finger here. And if you don't know the notes on the low E string, don't worry about that because I'm showing you how to play it in the key of A right now. So first of all, we're going to get the first step. Okay, now we're just going to be playing an A minor pentatonic here. Okay, it's using the G pattern. Okay, now don't worry about the technicalities. Let's just walk right through it. First finger here on the 5th fret of the low E string. And then your pinky is going to play the 8th fret up here, okay? And then on the next string, we're playing the 5th fret with our 1st finger, and then 7th fret with our 3rd finger, and then 1st finger here on the 5th fret, and 3rd finger on the 7th fret, and exactly the same for those strings. So far we have this. And then for the 2 higher strings, we're just going like this. So 5th fret with our 1st finger, to the pinky on the 8th fret, and again. And we can walk back through it like that. Alright, so what I want you to do right now is to pause the video and just make sure you're very comfortable with that. Now, a lot of you will already know that because generally it's the first scale that people learn. So we're going to add some extra notes onto it. But again, it is very important that you do have that completely locked in before you continue on. Okay, now we're going to go pretty quickly over this. So if you need to revise over that, just take the video back just a little bit and have a go over it. Alright, so that is step 1, getting that first pattern down. Now what we're going to do for step 2 is we're going to add 3 notes. Now you notice that in your diagram there are actually more notes highlighted. Okay, so you actually have 6 notes highlighted. Now the reason is because you want to kind of think about this as another little scale of its own. Okay, so for instance what we're doing is when we get down to the bottom of this scale, if we take these 3 notes here, okay, and then move them 2 frets higher, that's what we're doing. We're just adding these 3 notes here, okay? So the 9th fret here, 10th fret, and the 10th fret. Okay, but we don't want to think of it just as this here, and then we're going to have these notes up here. We want to think of it as we can also go like this. Okay, so put your 1st finger here on the 7th fret of the G string, and then you're going to put your 3rd finger here on the 9th fret. And then might test some of you guys that aren't used to this kind of stuff. Put your middle finger here on the 8th fret and your pinky here on the 10th fret. And the same for the high E string. Okay, now remember that all we've done is just added this note, and this note. Okay, so alright, so I know we're going over this stuff really quickly, okay? If you need to revise over it, just have a watch through again, okay? Now I'm just going to go just one more time, nice and slowly, on the notes we've just added, these 3 here. So we're going to play our 1st finger here on the 7th fret, which is already a note that we have, but we're playing it with a different finger. And then our 3rd finger here on the 9th fret, and then our middle finger here on the B string on the 8th fret, and then our pinky, 4th finger on the 10th fret down here, okay, and then on the high E string exactly the same, 8th fret and the 10th fret. Okay, so it's important you want to have that memorized and you want to have that memorized before you move on. So those are your first 2 steps, and then we have 2 more, and then you're going to have your full blues solo heat map. Now you're probably wondering how you're actually going to use this to make a solo. Okay, now don't worry, we're going to cover that. I'm going to start jamming to the backing track a little bit later and also show you some licks to get started. But for now, just make sure you have steps 1 and steps 2 memorized, or at least you can just look at the sheet to remind yourself. Look at your reference material that has those steps in it. Okay, so well done for sticking with me, and we're going to be continuing to build on that solo heat map. And obviously just taking it step by step like this allows you to understand it a whole lot better instead of just being like, here's the whole thing, right? This way you're actually going to be able to use it. So just now, I just want to let your brain rest just for a quick second because we've already covered a lot, and the next few steps are going to be really, really fun. Now, a few years ago, I was hanging out with Billy Gibbons, of course, legendary blues guitarist from ZZ Top, and I was asking him a lot of advice. And one thing that he said, he talked a lot about recording studio stuff and spending time in the studio. And one thing he said to me was that you can't get it right the first take. And so he elaborated on that a little bit more. And he was saying that in the studio, especially these days, you have to be so good. Okay, because people are literally making music with their computer these days, and it's kind of getting away from the old standard good guitar and that kind of stuff. But the thing about a computer is that it is perfect. And he was saying that if your music is going to be judged next to music that is made by a computer, you've got to make sure that it is on the money. So you see that you can't get it in one take. So what I'm bringing this up for is just to remind you that while you're doing this stuff, and when we go to start going through the licks and that kind of thing, if you're playing it and you're thinking, hey, this just isn't sounding exactly how I want to, or you just can't get one bit, you know, you're trying to get one lick and you just can't play it, don't worry, because even the legends, like for instance, Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top is standing in front of me saying, you can't do it the first take. Of course, you know, you can play it and it might sound awesome the first time, but you're always going to be able to improve. So keep that in mind. As you're going through this stuff, don't judge yourself too harshly, alright? Just take it one step at a time and just keep building upon your skill level every single day. So if you're a fan of Billy Gibbons, just a quick little teaser, in the next lesson I'm actually going to show you a really cool ZZ Top inspired 12-bar blues riff, and it's really easy to play, but it sounds absolutely awesome. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on, but for now, let's dig back in and add some extra notes onto that Blues Solo Heatmap. Alright, now we're going to add 3 more notes, and that's going to complete the skeleton of your Blues Solo Heatmap. So there's 3 notes. If you know a D chord, it's just those 3 notes there. Okay, so 12th fret on the G, 12th fret on the high E, and 13th fret on the B string. Now, again, we're not going to just add those 3 notes. Just the same as when we added these notes here, we created a little mini scale here. We're going to do the same over here. Now you notice we're still using those 3 notes that we added last time, but of course moving over here. So this is how we're going to play it. Okay, so first finger here on the 9th fret of the G, we're going to play that, and then we're going to play our 3rd finger here on the 12th fret. Just like that. And then our first finger is going to move here to the 10th fret on the B string. And then our pinky is going to play the 13th fret. So we have this. Okay, and then on the high E string, we're just going 10th fret with your first finger and 12th fret with your 3rd finger. So this. And if it was backwards. Okay, so just remember that we're just adding these 3 notes here, and we can walk through this like this. Alright, so practice that, pause the video, and once you're ready, move on to step number 4, which is the 4th and final step before we have our full Blues Solo Heatmap. So, I'm trusting that you paused the video and went through that. Okay, so step number 4 is we're going to add in some blues notes. Now, we're covering quite a lot of stuff really quickly, okay? So if you're thinking, man, this is all the stuff's really hard to remember, don't worry, because you're gonna have your reference material that you can refer back to as many times as you want, and you've got that just below, so you can go and download that. Okay, so what is these blues notes, okay? Now, the blues notes just sit inside of the patterns, and it's actually just one note. And we're gonna play that note here, and we're gonna play that note here, and we're gonna play that note here. It's just 3 octaves of the same note. Now, when we play that in, for instance, a solo, we don't actually go like this and just hang on that note, because it gives us that diminished kind of sound. But what we do is actually pass through it. Just that. And just sounds really cool. See, just going, sliding in and out of it. All right, so we have it here. And notice how it is 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it's always 3 consecutive notes. Okay, so we just start out, instead of going like this, we're gonna go 1, 2, 3. Okay? So 5th fret on the A string, 6th fret on the A string, and 7th fret on the A string. Now you see those, you've got those 3 strips where it's highlighted. Obviously we're only adding in 1 note, okay, but it's really good.